My wife ruined our honeymoon. This is going to be a very long one, I apologize in advance. My wife and I got married very recently this year, in a gorgeous ceremony, surrounded by our friends and family. We were together for 4 years prior. This last year has been monumentally stressful for the two of us, both work-wise and with the wedding planning. However, the day couldn't have been more perfect, and it was undoubtedly the absolute best day of our lives, making all of the trouble and stress more than worth it. I make very good money and provide for the both of us, while my wife takes care of finances, bills, plans our trips, and generally keeps me uplifted when I'm stressed with work. I adore my wife. She's beautiful, smart, extremely well-read, and has always shared my sense of humor. When we met, I couldn't believe that there was someone as wonderfully goofy and weird as I was, and I knew very early on that she was the one for me. We made it through the pandemic together, through distance at times, and I never thought that anything could sway my feelings for her. We booked an expensive honeymoon, in a tropical location, scheduled a few weeks after the wedding. She'd been there before and told me she had always wanted to go back. I paid, while she, as per usual, organized the trip. The first few days were amazing. We're not super active on our vacations and we're just happy to drink, go to the beach for the whole day, and out to nice dinners in the evening. The second hotel we stayed at is where things took a turn. While out, my wife and I started chatting to a few other couples at a beachside bar restaurant. We're both very social, so we like asking other couples about themselves, sharing funny comparisons and including each other in the laughs. She was getting a little tipsy, but nothing too bad or out of the ordinary. At some point, she began to start slipping into drunk territory, and I started ordering us more food and suggesting she take it easy, which she obliged. Despite this, she later kept ordering more drinks. I asked her to please take it easy, because I know her pacing at this stage. She got quite agitated and stated that this was her honeymoon too, and she wanted to relax. While talking some more, she got noticeably more drunk, pretty fast. I was talking to the couple on my right, when I heard my wife tell the girl next to her that she had a one that got away, who she wished she hadn't let go, and that she settled for me. My face, my stomach, my heart, everything dropped. I can't imagine what I must have looked like in that moment, but the people she was talking to got very quiet and awkward. The couple next to me tried changing the subject. Still, my wife went on. She gestured toward me and began to discuss that I wasn't her type at all, and went on to describe something entirely different. We had both made jokes in the past about not being each other's initial type, but that since meeting each other, we were both the type we both never knew we wanted. It seems this wasn't true on her end. She patted my head condescendingly and said, "Unfortunately, this was the best I could do, but life goes on." She wasn't laughing. She was completely deadpan. I was absolutely crushed. This didn't seem at all like the person I had been with over the last 4 years. I tried to get her to put her drink down, let me pay the check and leave, when she outright snapped. The waitress had refused her when she asked for another drink, and she stormed off to the bathroom. At this stage, the people she was talking to had migrated tables, and the couple next to me were trying to reassure me, despite the bomb that had clearly gone off. I went to go check on her after a few minutes. This turned to 20 more minutes, after which the waiting staff had to go in and retrieve her. She had been getting sick in the bathroom. She didn't say a word to me when she got out and just grabbed her stuff. In the interim, the other couple had picked up our check, which I was incredibly embarrassed about, but grateful for. They parted ways saying, "Happy honeymoon," in awkward wincing smiles. I left with her, feeling utterly dumbstruck, embarrassed, concerned, and above all just heartbroken. She spent the entire walk back to the hotel saying that she knew I was embarrassed of her behavior, adding, "You know what, I don't care, you're an embarrassment most of the time." She went to point out that I was not funny or charismatic, as she had said in the past, but a clown, a laughing stock, and that our friends only put up with me out of niceties. She said that they all just saw me as a complete joke and that I was just too stupid to notice. This was all being screamed at me in front of as many people as you can imagine a popular destination spot would have walking around in the main town, all while I was trying to keep her from stumbling out onto the street. I had turned from embarrassed and upset to completely numb. I felt as though my marriage had detonated then and there. I'm ashamed to say this, but in that moment, I imagined leaving her as soon as I got back home and the ensuing embarrassment of having to explain to friends and family that my marriage had not even lasted a season without crumbling. We were getting into a semi-crowded elevator when she squirmed out and bolted off. I immediately ran back down 3 stories and spent the next 45 minutes trying to locate her on the hotel premise. Finally we got back to the room and she fell straight to sleep on the bed. I rolled her onto her side, tucked her in and got her water. We were going to our 3rd stop at a resort the following morning, so I just stayed up and packed. To say I felt empty inside is a complete understatement. She woke up about 2 to 3 hours later asking what had happened. Why I looked so upset. I asked if she was actually serious. If the most devastating part of our relationship, of any relationship I had ever been in, had not just happened for her. She seemed anxious, as if it were less than half coming back to her, so I told her everything she had done, as calmly as I could. I told her how much she had hurt and embarrassed me with what she had said. She was hysterical. She started screaming into the pillows, trying to hurt herself, screaming that she had ruined our honeymoon and our marriage, begging me not to leave her, telling me she didn't mean it. She was still fairly drunk. I told her to just go back to sleep, that I needed to go for a walk and have some time to think. She refused to give me it. She grabbed my arm while I asked her to let go, scratching me while I told her to just let me have space, screaming all the while. I stopped and just got into bed and told her I could not talk to her. We both went to sleep, but she woke me multiple times, telling me that we needed to talk through this and that I owed her that much. I just told her that I couldn't. I was shattered. I told her I didn't even know if I could finish the rest of the honeymoon and that I didn't know if I could go to the final resort we were staying at. I woke the next morning. She had cancelled our 5-day resort stay that we were due to be at in 6 hours, of which I received no refund. She cried, she apologized, she begged for me to hear her out, but there was literally nothing that could fix what she had said and how she talked to me after, in that moment. She told me that it wasn't her, that she remembered none of it and that she couldn't even begin to think of why she had said and done those things. That it wasn't how she felt at all and that I was the best thing that had ever happened to her, that I had to believe her, after everything we had been through. Asking why I couldn't just trust her after all of this time together. This is getting very long, so to put the rest of the trip briefly, she used her savings to pay for a very expensive resort for us that day, apologizing for cancelling the other one without asking first. She wanted to save the trip. For the rest of the trip she was remorseful, she was kind, she was sweet, she was the person that I had fallen in love with. She seemed just as shattered and upset as I was. I tried to make the most of the rest of our stay, but it was obvious that I was still heartbroken, despite trying to keep it together. She cried on the plane home and she cried most of the day we got back. Fast forward a couple of very awkward, sad and tense days, she comes to me and lays out all of the changes she was going to make. She has always done the laundry but didn't really do a lot of the cleaning or cooking. In recent months she would often get agitated when I would finish work and start doing it. She promised to do all or at least most of the household stuff, to take the pressure off of me. She started dressing up, doing her makeup more often, she even cooked me a fancy dinner and decorated, to show how much she appreciated me and the life I had given her, her words, not mine. She told me that she had only said those things because she was insecure about not working, about herself in our friend group and how she had felt that our mutual friends liked me more than her. I don't believe that last part to be true in the slightest. More than half of them were actually her friends before they were mine. I asked about the one that got away, as difficult as it was, and she said that she didn't know why she said that but she didn't feel that way. She said that I was her type, that I was the only one for her and that she would spend as long as it took to make it up to me. We see a lot of relationship posts re-uploaded to TikTok and one thing I absolutely cannot stand is that the couples cannot seem to fathom the concept of actually communicating to each other in situations like this, and that's what we did. We communicated. We talked openly and honestly. I told her firmly and candidly about all of the changes I needed. I asked about what I needed to change, what could have made her so full of contempt for me in that moment on our honeymoon and what we could both do to avoid it. Things started to pick up over the next few days and it seemed like things were going to be okay. There were some lingering things, of course. I wasn't initiating intimacy, I just couldn't. I felt like a complete loser. I felt completely undesirable. Questioning how anyone could see anything in me, if this is how she felt. She tried on multiple occasions, but I just asked her for time to recover. She gave me that space and reassured me that she would wait as long as it took for me to feel up to it again. We both always had a high sex drive, and that was now completely shot. Finally, over time, we were intimate again. She cooked, cleaned, did sweet things for me, acted like she did when we first met. It really did feel like this whole nightmare might have been a net positive. Like it had kicked some things that were off in our relationship back into place. Like it was the wake-up call we needed. I still had intrusive thoughts, but we communicated and she would compliment and reassure me. She would constantly ask if how she was acting and the things she was doing for me were noticeable. I told her that they were and that I appreciated them, and I tried to be more aware of any flaws I myself might have in my day-to-day. It's been some weeks since then and things have started to slip back. The nice dinners stopped almost immediately, as did the nice gestures. She started to become irritable with me with small things, unrelated to me. She stopped doing household things consistently and is again irritable when I ask if she can help with them, while I'm working. I don't work the longest hours on earth by any means, but my work weeks are 60 to sometimes 70 hours. I'll find her downstairs playing video games or watching streams, and asking her to help out is leading to strained discussions at times. She doesn't not do housework at all, but it's absolutely noticeably less already. She had started therapy through BetterHelp. I have no experience with that app and don't know if it is reputable, but that stopped after about 2 weeks. We have long discussions and things get better momentarily, but they keep resetting and I feel like I'm in a state of déjà vu with everything. Again, I previously stated that I hate that couples can't just talk to each other in these kind of posts, but we've been talking. She'll turn around and still do sweet things, but I just can't bring myself to look past what happens sometimes and it's still eating at me. My confidence is completely fine some days and others it is just on the floor. I still love her, but I cannot say with any confidence that I feel in love with her anymore, and I don't know what to do. I never thought I would see myself on this end of one of these posts. She's talked to her mother about it and I cannot bring myself to say anything to my parents or friends. I'm so embarrassed and haven't been able to confide in anyone about this, aside from her. Thank you all for taking the time to read this. Any advice movement forward would be so appreciated. Have a wonderful day, all of you. Edit. Oh my goodness, thank you all for your messages. No matter what your opinions were, I appreciate all of them and I appreciate you all giving your time and advice. I only just woke up, so sorry for not responding sooner. I really wasn't expecting this turnout in the comments. Being able to get the story off of my chest, outside of talking to her, is in itself some form of relief. I see a lot of people writing that my wife married me for the money. I really should have added that when we got engaged, we did not have much money at all. Sorry for not including it initially. I wrote this at around 1 to 2 a.m. my time, and the grammatical errors reflect that. We got engaged in the middle of the pandemic, work had dried up in my field and we were both banking on my plan to pay off. She always said she believed I could be successful, but I was by no means close to being financially sound when she said yes to marrying me. However, that said, take from that what you will. I'm trying my best to read through all of the messages. I'll be honest, a lot are difficult to process. I see, acknowledge and appreciate the ones telling me to look out for my best interests, but also the ones telling me to actually ask my wife about her aspirations or goals, which surely cannot be sitting around household tasks. In the past it's been touchy and or difficult to get her to pursue the field of her degree. It's creative and daunting, and she has often gotten defensive and dismissive of my help in the past. This morning I asked her to lay out a realistic and specific plan to get back into working, with the goal of working towards the career she actually wants. I have never been to therapy, but I'm going to look into one-on-one sessions and go from there. No matter what outcome, after reading this, I clearly need to work on me, whatever that might entail. I'm going away on a trip with some guy friends for a couple of days, and while they are our mutual friends, I'm going to try and open up to them as non-biased as I can. Thank you all for sharing your own past experiences so candidly with me and for the DMs also. I know that these next steps seem like baby steps and might be frustrating to read from your end, but we are both religious. Divorce is not the option I want to go down if I can help it. However, you're all right. I cannot be miserable for the rest of my life, and if no effort is made, it's looking like that might have to be a route. With that said, your words have given me comfort, and while they haven't restored all of my self-confidence, they have shown me that I have to actually buck up, be more direct and not be so malleable. I will update in the coming weeks. Thank you all so much again, I really mean it. Have a wonderful day, you kind souls.